The independent cinema for me is the cinema made by people who don't want to become famous directors, but who want to express themselves through the seventh art. Well, we have been shouting out this slogan for, I don't know, 2 decades maybe in Turkey during the feminist march, because it's also Kurdish, Jin, Jiyan, Azadi. So for me, it's the slogan for the feminism. I think this slogan finally has become known worldwide thanks to the great resistance of the Iranian women, all of them, not only filmmakers, all of them who are, looking to emancipate themselves. Now, maybe men also can begin to think about what resistance is, what revolution is, what women's human rights are. So I think they can finally grasp it very quickly, very compact way, and then learn to make films. In Turkey, the independent cinema was born early in the 70s because there was nothing but a commercial cinema, which we call the Yeşilçam, the green pine. It's something like the Hollywood, which is given, this is the name given to the Turkish film industry. So these films were made in the most classical way, okay? There's a producer and he wants to make a film which is going to help him make a lot of money. And of course, it's all about a star cinema, okay? So the mise-en-scène, the director's art was always secondary. You know, it was all about the stories were more or less the same, you know. There's a melodrama on, you know, either the woman is rich and the man is poor, or the other way around, you know, those love stories that they can't come together, and then in the end everyone is in tears. Or there were comedies, of course, you know, very typical comedy. You know, the commercial cinema all around the world is the same. You know, when we watch, you know, an Indian film or a Japanese or an American or, you know, or a French one, it's all the commercial cinemas are the same. It's just for the people to spend some time laughing or crying or getting excited about it. But in the Turkish cinema, we didn't have other forms, like action cinema never existed. So finally, when there was this younger generation who were politically conscious, and they brought forward a late neorealism in the Turkish cinema. This is how the independent movement began. And then it's still, you know, going on in the Turkish cinema. You see that the social realism is the core. Most of the films are in the social realist way. We still don't have a lot of variety. You know, we don't have many experimentals, only a few. And I don't know, we have this minimalist social realist cinema, which tries to tell, you know, genuine stories of people. You know, there's not a national character. It's mainly eclectic, but still you can see these common points. So, but what they were really independent because they made films, you know, only with their own sources. But still, in the 70s, even after the military coup in the 80s, when everything was forbidden, when they were making films, they still had a producer and a director. But then the American major companies entered Turkey in the beginning of the 80s, and they invaded all the existing, cinemas. So there were no more screens for the Turkish production, which, of course, there was also in the 70s, the television, and then the videos in the early 80s that also helped a bit, the downside to shrink the commercial cinema. But when they lost income from the box office, they lost everything. The kind of commercial cinema collapsed. After this collapse was born the real independence. You know, in the mid-90s, these young filmmakers now all the world knows them because they are huge award winners, like Nuri Bilge Ceylan, yeah, like Yeşim Ustaoğlu, like Derviş Saim, and Reha Erdem. They all began to make the films with the little means they have. I mean, some of them like found some films, some of them found a little bit of money. One of them bought his own camera. They won awards in national, international festival, and then with the award money, like the crews worked for very little money. Actors didn't ask for anything, and then they made this real independent thing. And then they depended on only the festival circles. We didn't even have art house cinemas at the time. So everything began to come to a more or less independent small film industry. And then it is quite unbelievable, but the success of this independent cinema, that people beginning to talk about Turkish cinema, they're in Cannes, they're in Berlin, they're in other festivals, you know, wonderful reviews. The commercial cinema was reborn. The commercial cinema came back because they gave confidence to everyone who wanted to make different kinds of films. And then there was also the television, the boom of the television, the TV series, and the huge industry where just they made their big return. And can you believe that in 20 years, we went from making 10 films per year to 150 films per year? It happened. I mean, so independent cinema is a real force. You know, it tells everyone, look, if you really believe in telling this story in a certain way, if you want to express yourself, you can find a way to do it. It's so important, you know, it's pure artistic, you know, expression. Yeah, so what? I mean, do you have to have all the, you know, expensive oil paints to make a wonderful picture? No, you need one pencil and one piece of paper, and you can create a masterpiece that depends on your talents. So this was it. You know, they had pencils, they had paper, and then they were making their own films. So I always admire them, and they still continue. But of course, now that we have reached a point that we are looking for a little bit more variety. And in the beginning, there were like a handful of female filmmakers. Now, yeah, I mean, like, let's say at least 1/3 of the filmmakers who are very successful now are women. So it is also very important. I don't want to be binary, of course, you know, just I don't want to, you know, call men and women. Yeah, but this is Turkey. This is a little bit of a conservative society. So and then as a feminist, I don't, you know, abstain from talking about women. But yes, we have this movement, which is still going on, and which is now becoming a little bit more, you know, varied and more non-binary, and I think it's good. Yeah, oh, there are a lot of problems, but when my Turkish filmmaker friends complain about, oh, we have censorship, oh, we don't have enough money, I say, shut up, look at Iran. I think this started a bit earlier during the Arab Spring, because this was then when we began to see a lot of documentaries. I mean, in fact, documents, you know, shot with the telephone. It was a point of, you know, breaking down the tyranny of the huge productions, you know, cinema with capital letters. You need this, you need that, you need a big kind of aesthetics. In fact, no. You know, you can have a very strong form of expression if you just, you know, believe in what you are doing. But of course, this is not durable, let's say. You know, it happens, it comes out at times of revolution, at times of big, you know, resistance, people's movements, and then it disappears. What we need is a larger view of everything which brings together these images, you know. I mean, for example, there was a wonderful example of this, the silvered water. It was one of the very first documentaries from Syria. You know, Simav Bedirhan, she was like, you know, shooting with her phone and putting them, uploading them on the computer. And Osama Mohammed in Paris, he has been a long time exile in Paris, and then they recorded everything, the conversations they have. It was kind of a diary of all this revolution, which was like against the dictatorship, towards a free state, and then suddenly falling in the hands of conservatives, and then the ISIS appeared. You know, I mean, that was marvelous, you know, because it was wonderfully crafted. You had all these raw images. You had the, you know, just like us now talking, the video conversations, and then the whole editing process, which brought together a great documentary. So we need something like that. You know, we have to really find the correct way, the correct form to bring all these images together, and then, you know, turn them into documentaries like The Silvered Water that I never forget. You know, I remember the images, I remember the idea, which is so important. And then you saw that she was a Kurdish woman, a young Kurdish woman, who joins the resistance, who goes there, who teaches the children, and then they say, no, 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 you woman, you shouldn't interfere with our affairs and don't teach anything to children, especially not English. And then, you know, she was cast out. So it was, you see, you know, we need something like that yet to come from Iran, but I'm sure there are many things, you know, hiding somewhere, coming out. I noticed that ever since this great resistance, the attitude, there's a variety, there's a difference in the Iranian films made outside of Iran. Those directors who live outside of Iran, they are now bolder. They are bolder because they look, I mean, of course, out of respect, you know, for your people, not to put anyone in danger and not to harm your own country. We're not talking about the administration, we're not talking about the authorities, but the country itself as an idea, you know, the place we love, the people we love, the language we love, the culture we love. So they are not so careful anymore. They are a bit bolder. I like that. As a sister, let's say, yeah, I'm with you with all my heart. You know, Jin, Jian, Azadi. This has always been like that. It will always be like that. We will always be together, and we'll do everything together in the future. I believe in that.